early in the 1900s, Rockefeller and Carnegie foundations were interested in creating a singular method for medical professional training. It wasn't truly altruistic. Today, the Rockefellers own 45% of the pharmaceutical industry. So they were thinking as business-minded. So there was a lot of corruption, coercion, and blackmail, Lauren. So what happened is there's the Flexner Report of 1910, and they were recommending that that the training be focused on chemical medical education and nothing else. So even though these other practices were working, they wanted to only focus on chemical intervention. So the Rockefellers started funding the colleges, a lot of their operating costs, and then they're like, hey, can we get on your boards, and just oversee, our money? And they had to say yes, right? Because a huge part of how they were functioning was because of their donations. So sure. So then they influenced the entire curriculum. And just another interesting and scary fact, in 1939, a drug trust was formed with the Rockefeller Empire and the German chemical company IG Farben, which is now known as Bayer, and they were doing drug experiments in concentration camps in Auschwitz. So they were testing their drugs in Germany during World War II on people that were victims of that. So they started eliminating the other approaches that we just talked about from schools. They threatened to discredit the schools if their curriculum didn't remove herbalism, homeopathy, and other forms of natural medicine. Don't mind the children's music in the background. And they discredited other approaches. Like you hear, like chiropractors are stigmatized now and called quacks. And a lot of my patients would be like, but isn't the chiropractor a quack? And I said, well, no, if they're realigning your spine so that you don't have to have surgery, which is very risky, you could get paralyzed or you could get hurt trying to get up after you have surgery, what I know patients have had that problem.
Infections.
Or infections. It's a much less invasive way to help you. So anyways, there became a monopoly on the treatment. So now we had all these different approaches, right? Not this one size fits all to one size fits all and actually more invasive than the previous approaches. So then comes the proliferation of big pharma.
So, pharmaceutical industry takes over everything. All the previously utilized treatments, gone. And what are we left with? Well, in 1861, morphine was utilized during the Civil War. We have pain, morphine works. Great. Dependency. Not good. 1898, heroin was advertised as having no addictive properties. Mm-hmm. Wrong. We know that's wrong. That's a bunch of crap. 1914, Harrison Narcotics Act finally comes around and says, maybe we should make these prescription only. And then, obviously, we still have recreational drug use, but at least then it cut down on a lot of use as it was able to. 1924, so we're going from 1898 to 1924, where the U.S. finally says no more heroin. It's causing too much harm. That's how long it took. 1995, OxyContin comes around and again marketed as safe. Wrong again, not safe. And in 2007, the federal government actually filed criminal charges against this pharmaceutical industry for advertising it as safe, and they had to pay over $600 million in criminal and civil fines. So finally, 3 years ago, we said, there's a lot of bad drugs going around here. Maybe we should print out some guidelines so these doctors aren't overprescribing drugs. So we did that. That's great for newcomers. We're providing more alternative treatment a little bit sometimes. But some doctors are just saying, I was giving you all this medicine for so long and now you're addicted, but I can't anymore. Okay, you're cut off. Bye. What am I supposed to do? I'm physically, not just psychologically, physically addicted to all these painkillers, and you're tossing me out on the street. So what do? They turn to street drugs because that's all that's left. And then we stigmatize them, which is really sad. So we have 150 years were wasted. While we had these safe and effective pain management solutions, they were tossed aside so that these two jerks could make money and profit off of us. So we all had to sacrifice our health, and we have to sacrifice our medical care provided in this country so that they can make money.
But what about the FDA? They're supposed to protect us, right? The Food and Drug Administration, the regulatory agency that's supposed to help make sure that our drugs and our food is safe. Aren't we protected by them? No. Next slide. Thank you. So in the early 1990s, the pharmaceutical industry began paying off the FDA as well. They started putting millions of dollars into speeding up the drug approval process. So technically there could be a drug that needed to have more testing, but they expedited the process and potentially sacrificed the consumer receiving that drug. And then when I did some research on the current acting commissioner of the FDA, his name is Norman Sharpless. He's actually a cancer drug developer. So the person that's supposed to be overseeing, the drug industry is actually getting is in the drug industry and getting monetary benefit. So that's a huge conflict of interest. So they're not going to be, in my opinion, looking out for the consumer if they're getting money off of the drug being pushed through the system. And that freaks me out. It should freak you out too.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Well, it would take a very, very ethical person to do that, though. And I mean, it's got to be tempting. You can make millions, or you can be a good person. I mean, money drives a lot of people, unfortunately, and it's a temptation.